Okay, we out here. I feel like I'm always eating. I feel like I'm always eating on stream. Let me fix the camera a little bit. Make sure I'm good. Okay, bang. What's up, everybody? Um, yeah. Where the heck is the chat? Why is the chat not pulling up on stuff? That's annoying on the screen. There you are. Yeah, so today I'm eating donuts on a stick, on a skewer. So, mm-hmm. So, Sasuke happened. At least part of Sasuke happened. We are entering that time where I can talk about some stuff now. We can actually talk about things. Some good donuts. Totally Normal says it's another mid Sasuke tournament. Okay. I want everyone to remember, hold off your final opinions until tonight when everything airs. Obviously, it's just the logical thing to do, the reasonable thing to do. Common sense. Mm. I'm not gonna lie, it just depends on whether or not this happens again, like multi-day Sasuke. Purely depends on the ratings, but they're probably not going to do internationals to like fluff up the airtime of stage 2. Like the nice thing is like we only have spoilers, by the way, huge spoilers. Only 7 people made it to stage 2, and so you would think that like uh gosh, you would think that it's really going to drag, and it very well could. But this year they got 22 internationals to bulk up a bit more runtime, because not only do they all have to run stage 1, but at the same time, some of them might make it to stage 2. Whatever else they run with the Japanese afterwards. Inui said he hates the 2-day thing. That is very true, but if there's anything that we learned from this year's Sasuke, it's that Inui does not have as much control as we think. You know? Inui gets to pitch what obstacles are on and what modifications he wants to make. Inui edits the broadcast to show whoever he wants. Though I'm sure some of the celebrities are contractually obligated to be shown. And at the same time, we are also looking at like how do I put this? Just really bad promotional marketing for Trials, Idol Battle, Black Tigers, Koshin. Really last minute announcements for all of this. And yeah, it's very much like a he's a part of the machine. He's a big part of the machine, the biggest part of the machine. He is not in as much control as we give him credit for, very clearly. So I wouldn't be surprised if the ratings do well, if TBS says we're doing 2 days again next year, and he just has to suck it up and deal with it, and maybe hire another editor. I want you guys to. We're talking about, a lot. I saw this a lot last night as well, where everyone's like, 2 kids outperformed whatever. Have we been watching Ninja Warrior recently? Are we aware of like how old the current best in the world are? Are we aware of what the oldest Kanzen Seihas are in history, and how old they were, and how old other people here are? Like, I'm not even on the PowerPoint yet because I'm eating my donuts. I could talk about this for a while. The oldest people to achieve total victory, if I'm not mistaken, were Makoto Nagano and Jeff Britton. They were 35 and 36. And they never performed nearly as well after that. So the Shinseidai are all hitting their mid to late 30s or 40s because Yuji's 47, right? And typically for any sport, if you're past 35, people start asking, all right, how many more seasons left until he retires? People have been asking that about LeBron, Messi, Ronaldo. They ask about all of them. That's around when Usain Bolt retired. Actually, I think it was Usain Bolt retired earlier. Now you know was 34, mid 30s still. Jeff Britton was 35 or 36. Yeah, something like that. And it's just one of those things where if anyone thinks that any of these people besides Yusuke and yeah, consistently right now the only person anyone should be saying has a shot at achieving total victory is Yusuke. Simply put. The Miyaoka glaze, Miyaoka's great. I'm glad he showed that he can be consistent this tournament. The hype of him has to stop. It's been 2 tournaments. Okay? 2 tournaments is not enough to be like, he could win, he could win. He can make the final. He's shown us he can make the final. Let's slow down though, you know? Let's stop glazing. Get it? I'm gonna go throw this away. Wash my hands. Okay. Breakfast is done. It's noon and I'm eating breakfast because I barely got out of bed. Yeah. Oh. Sasuke ended at 3 a.m. for me, so my sleep schedule is going to be thrown off for the next couple of days. Yeah. Yeah, but Yusuke Kanzen on his first try on a significantly easier final. You know, not something like this. Oh my gosh. Facts blank. Yes. In 35, Yusuke struggled on the rope. He ran out of time halfway up the rope. 36, he still made it on the rope, and he was able to close that gap because he practiced his butt off. 2, it was the live final. He wasn't as tired as he didn't just run stage 3 and then do the final in that night. I think that definitely makes a difference for his 36 climb, but regardless, Yusuke is still the only person capable of achieving Kanzen Seiha at the moment. At the moment. It could change someday, but we have to see, we have to see what happens. Because we did the same thing to Yoshiyuki that is happening to Miyaoka. He made the final once, or he showed potential of making the final once, and he was glazed to oblivion. Oh my gosh, do you guys not remember doing that 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Everyone was going feral for Yoshiyuki Yamamoto. And now everyone's kind of like, well, he hasn't gotten past the cliffhanger since 40. It's almost like you should wait and just wait for a second, you know? That part always, yeah. That part always confused me. So, with that said, PowerPoint, because then we'll get into more discussion about this afterwards. But I did cook up a little PowerPoint. I'm going to do this so I'm centered when I switch the camera. Sasuke, bruh. All right. Let's switch here. Make sure that you guys can see. All right, perfect. Here we go. Sasuke 43, the 2-day special, the two-parter. We are talking about part 1. Oh boy, guys. 4 hours for stage 1. We'll talk about that in a bit. Oh, this is a long tournament, bro. All right. Here are the pros. I really like the results. The results obviously were very shocking, very refreshing, given that we had 28 clears last year and we're down to 7, just a quarter of that. Always good to change it up a little bit. But the big thing that I want to shout out is the fact that the course was taking people out at a relatively even spread. Obviously, Prism Tilt took out the most amount of people, and that's completely fair. Like, at least, if not the jump to Prism Tilt, then the jump from Prism Tilt to Rolling Hill. That was the kill zone. But Screwdriver still got some people. Dragon Glider was still Dragon Glider. Block definitely got a lot of people, and we even saw some fishbone fails. Rip Yuji. And we saw some time ups on the wall. Like, it was a very diverse range of results, and I quite enjoyed that, actually. Yeah. Now, the other thing that I will say is I think we really got to see who the true contenders are. If not, like I said, I think Yusuke is the only contender to Kanzan right now, but the contenders to make the final have shown themselves. Yes, I'm including Kaiju Nagano. No, I'm not including Tomohiro Kawaguchi in that. But I mean, I think Kaiju Nagano, and Yuta Nakashima, they're not going to make the final stage anytime soon unless they made it this tournament, which I'm not going to say. I know the results of what happens and blah blah blah, but like in the future, they are the future of Sasuke. It's going to be the two of them 2 decades from now still doing this. You know what I'm saying? Um yeah. And it's a shame. I don't want to slander Tomo to all of you guys saying it. I don't want to slander Tomo, but Caillou did make it past Rolling Hill. You mean a Rolling Log? Hello, it was blocked for me. Anyways, um, yeah, no, Kawaguchi, like, mad respect for being one of the few to make it through. He's clutch. He's a very clutch person. Um, but at the end of the day, like, I don't ever think he's gonna clear the burst, you know. But I think there's a shot in the long careers that Kaiju Nagano and Yuta Nakashima have ahead of them that they could clear it someday, you know? And then on top of that, we know that Yusuke, Miyaoka, and Keitaro have beaten the burst in training, and we know that Yoshiyuki recently did that as well. So, like, we're in pretty good hands right now. I would say we're in pretty good hands. The Prism Tilt is another big pro. I have said, and I distinctly, I want to kick it back here for a second. For those of you who have watched my streams for a while, I have said that the first obstacle of Sasuke needs to be something just based on randomness and pure athleticism. So the people who are not athletic and are just there for a paycheck fall instantly. That is what Prism Tilt is. I think I pitched my dream course like last year or something to you guys, and my first obstacle selection was hurdle jump. Because it's just like, if you can't run and jump, what are you doing on Sasuke, right? This is pretty much the same thing, Prism Tilt. I am very excited that the Prism Tilt ended so many runs instantly. I really am. As much as I'm sad for Torisawa, you know, it's nice. It's nice to see that, like, people left the course as quickly as they stepped on the starting platform, and that was really nice. Let me see what else. Mabuchi robbed by bad tech. Bro, no one could figure out Twin Diamond. I almost said it. I almost said it. No one could figure out block. Holy crap. Not for a while. There was a very clear set timing on block. It is harder than the previous version. Because there is less opportunity for you to actually there's a smaller window of time for you to actually make it. Um yeah. 16 straight fails on Prism Tilt and Rolling Hill before someone figured it out. Yes. That was awesome. Are you kidding me? Um I don't know how we watch people slowly do quads and log. I agree, Shayon. And with that said, I don't know why those runs and those tournaments were glazed into oblivion when those obstacles were on the course going at turtle pace. Like this was insane. Now, granted, anyone who figured out Prism Tilt did take some time because they were steadying the Prism Tilt and trying to stop it from tilting. But overall, those people ended up doing well most of the time and actually getting past the rolling hills. So like I'll give them that. Rico absolutely wins Warrior Wipeout. Holy crap. She went to the hospital after that fall. That was something straight out of a video game. That was wild. And then the last pro that I have is Iwamoto's screen time. Iwamoto's screen time was very limited because he wasn't competing. He was there to cheer on his friends and be a good sport, and that's great. You know, very happy about it. Because of this, he wasn't shoved down our throats. He was there to remind people that he was there. And he was there to remind the audience that he was into it. And his little statement where he was, bummed that he couldn't compete, it's a very legitimate, fair statement to put in the show. It makes sense to put that in the show, especially when so many people watch Sasuke to see him run stage 1. But having him on the sidelines really did allow the screen time for other people to really be like emphasized, and I personally really enjoyed that. Yeah. So I will say I think Inui did a good job with balancing Iwamoto with everyone else. Now, the meh thing, overall, the pacing was off. And I have a picture here of Caillou Nagano, because I think once we got to Caillou Nagano on stage 1, we really started to slow down. Especially with Caillou and Yuta back-to-back being the first 2 clears. They dragged that out. They're not dragged it out. They just stretched it out in comparison to the previous 50 minutes of like just rapid firing through all the fails. Obviously, because they were the first clears of the tournament, so it makes perfect sense. But it really did feel like, okay, we've gone through half of everyone in like 90 minutes. That's the thing. It was 50 people in 90 minutes. And then the other 50 people in 150 minutes. Like, it was so imbalanced. It was so imbalanced that there was a part, I think it was during the 70s. I think it was Geo until June. Like, it just felt really slow. And I understand they wanted to pull off the shocks of like, oh my gosh, Araki fell and everything else. But we were going at such a fast pace in the beginning that it became noticeably slower for me. I wouldn't say this is a con because it does add shock value, right? But this is something that to me, I was like, oh, I'm having a little bit of a harder time staying awake at 1 in the morning, waiting for them to move on to the next competitor. That was my only thing. Seeing all those fails after the kids was wild. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I will tell you guys actually right now. Yeah. Most of the other people are the guys who fans actually want to see, though. Yes, but at the same time, I mean, I still believe that, like, depending on your result, like, your result should warrant how much screen time you get, relatively speaking. Obviously, sometimes you gotta digest some clears for timing. Sometimes you gotta whatever else. But overall, like, if you failed the first obstacle, you don't need a 45-second profile piece. Honestly, you don't. Yeah. So, what's up, video game lover? I mean, you could totally do like this is Araki. He's made it to the ultra crazy cliffhanger. He's made it to the dimension before. Let's see how he does this year. and that could be like 10, 15 seconds, and then he fails the first obstacle. I think that's more appropriate than going through Araki's like whole training regiment and then watching him fail the first obstacle. You know, that was second technically. Whatever. You know what I'm saying. I will tell you guys right now what exactly what we were told. We as in select members of TSN and some friends of TSN, what we were told via people on set, whether they were competitors or not, because some of our sources were not competitors. Um, anyways, we were basically told that from Gio to Yusuke, there were only 5 clears, which is true. Keitaro, Miyaoka, Tomo, Yoshi, Yusuke, right? We were tripping out. Then we went through, like, we were asking who was in the numbers and blah, 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 blah. So I was like, oh, there goes Araki. That's kind of surprising. There goes Gio. That's kind of surprising. There goes Tada and June. Like, that's wild. Like, that was actually insane. And I was getting these results in numerical order. So, like, everyone was failing, and I was like, holy crap, this is really, like, this is nuts. Hioki failing stage 1 was a surprise. It was very much a surprise to me. Because as much flack as I give Hioki for the amount of screen time he gets, I mean, obviously, I think we all can agree his days of clearing stage 1 are not over. He absolutely could still clear stage 1 next tournament. Kano, Ryo, Shunsuke, I wasn't that surprised about any of them. I was more surprised about Shunsuke because of where he fell, but I wasn't surprised that these people fell. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, those are like the biggest shocks were definitely June, Tada, Hioki. And hearing that out of all the Morimoto Sadai, that Keitaro was the one that survived, it wasn't like out of the question, but it still was surprising. Like, I thought, if anyone that wasn't Yusuke was going to survive from the Morimoto Sadai, stage 1, it would be June, because it's Jun Sato, right? So that was like a, right? And I felt what you guys felt just, a couple months ago. We get to the 90s, Bunpei, the All-Stars results pretty much were as expected. I was surprised to hear that Tomo was one of the clears. Just because if Tada's failing, if June's failing, how is Tomo clearing? Like, it's surprising. It's very surprising because relatively speaking, I think there are athletes in Ninja, in Sasuke specifically, better than Tomo. And Yoshi was not a surprise to us. Very bummed about Yuji failing. I think Yuji could have had a shot potentially. And then Yusuke, we heard barely cleared, which is like, it makes sense. He had like 3 seconds left, but like Tomo had 2 seconds left. You know what I'm saying? Checking the chat. Keitaro hype peak today and could flop tomorrow. Morimoto Sadai failing. See, the thing is, the Morimoto Sadai, again, it feels superficial to me. Yeah. The Morimoto Sadai, obviously, these people are strong, and these people know each other and have trained together, but they're not the All-Stars. They're not the Shin Sadai. They just have not been marketed enough. They have not been shown as a group enough for me to really care about them outside of Yusuke and Tada and June. And that's because of their individual accomplishments, not because of them as a group. I cared about the All-Stars as a group. I cared about Yamada not because I liked Yamada. I cared about Yamada because he was an All-Star and because he was training with the other All-Stars. I don't care about Araki because he's training with them. I don't care about, you know what I mean? I care about Keitaro only because, actually, the only times I've ever cared about Keitaro were when he finally cleared in 39, stage 2, and when he failed the pipe slider in 40. Those are the only 2 times I've ever cared about Keitaro. He touched the burst and I didn't care. Like, genuinely. But, now here we are. They're the only ones remaining, Keitaro and Yusuke out of the Morimoto Sadai. And I got, you got to give Keitaro his flowers, his respect. Like, if you're one of 7 people out of 100 to do something, you earned that spot. You busted your butt. So definitely, tip my hat to him. Mad respect. People like Yamashita are in danger of not being invited again. I agree. I very much agree. Um, I think Inui will be merciful and bring him back one more time because he changed stage 1 and because the rain definitely affected things. If he fails one more time, I think Yamashita, he's going to be another Yusuke Goto. We'll probably see him in the trials in like 2027. So, um, Muto still gets digested. Yeah, yeah, I thought that was kind of crazy. Yusuke normally does. I'm scrolling a lot. I'm glad you guys are so engaged in this chat, though. Someone is going to the final stage. They're gonna show all 7 runs. Oh, we'll talk about tomorrow. Don't you worry. We'll go back to the slideshow where I have things about tomorrow coming up. Pretty much the cons. I only have one. Why did you cut my Watanabe? I think everyone saw this coming. I think Shayon literally put this in the chat. Yeah. I mean, cutting her, it was so stupid. She was my personal choice for MVP of Kunoichi 13. She was absolutely like such a standout of that tournament. And not only that, but then we come to find out via her Instagram, she failed the Dragon Glider, which means she had the best result of all women in the tournament. She outperformed every single, well, we'll say Japanese woman, because I'm not going to spoil how the international women do. Um, yeah, no, they cut the best Japanese female results. And like you had so much hype for her coming into this. She had just come off of making the final in Kunoichi. Like she has the connections with Iketani and Muto and all them. Like you would really think that she would get more respect. No. Now, a lot of people said this in the chat already. Um she was probably cut because she kind of broke the cycle of people failing super early on stage 1. Like barely making it past Fishbone early, right? And so he probably wanted the pacing to, make the course look harder before Caillou Nagano became the first clear. Because Caillou was only 5 runners after Mai, right? So, like, from a standpoint of storytelling, I understand it. From a standpoint of that is your best female result of night 1, that was a stupid decision. That was dumb. That was really bad. Um, Ninja Warrior Poland does that a lot, where they basically show out of like the 40 people in their qualifiers or whatever it is, they show pretty much everyone who fails and like 3 clears. And then at the end of the qualifier, they digest like 8 clears of the qualifier course because they want it to seem like the world's toughest obstacle course. They want it to look that difficult to the audience. So I'm sure that's what Inui was probably going for with this. That doesn't mean it's okay to cut your last woman standing of Japan, at least, it's very sad. It's a bummer for sure, um definitely a bummer. With that said, we do still have an MVP of night 1. This is a competitor. Sometimes it's not a competitor. This was a competitor last night that stuck out to me. Had a very notable moment. They were a highlight for me. I will give you guys a couple minutes. I'll give you guys like 1 minute or so. Throw in the chat who you think I'm going to name the MVP. And then I'll ask you guys later who you guys think the MVP was. But first things first, guess who mine is? Pansky's return, Sasuke Sensei, Sukata. Not bad guesses. Pansky returning. I'm so glad Pansky came back. I really am. I really am happy that he came back. Sukata or Suzuki. Do you think the warped wall fails were only due to the rain? I think the only warped wall fail that really played himself was Tada, because he got there with so much time and took so much time to rest. He should have given himself more time. He should have given himself more attempts. Time for more attempts on the wall, you know? Mine has to be Keitaro, Caillou because I love Nagano, Yoshi, Bunpei doing a triple jump to lock in, being the only all-star to never fail 1-1. Dude, when number 15, that was the guy, right? When number 15 sprinted the prism, that was cold, bro. That was cold. Tomohiro somehow. All right. I will say my MVP, my personal MVP of night 1 was Yusuke Suzuki, the Sasuke sensei, with his retirement run. Yeah, no, that was. I think they were that gassed by the end of Tackle, Topaz, and I think they were also that nervous about the rain. Come on, guys. This was one of the best retirement runs we've seen in a while. In a while. This is better than Matsuda's retirement. This is, unfortunately, as much as I love him, this is better than Kenji Takahashi's retirement. Mainly because, you know, Suzuki actually got to the end of the course. He left it all out there. You know, he really did leave it all out there. He gave it everything he had. And at the very end, when he times up and he goes like, and then he turns and he gives the most rigid, respectful bow to the warped wall I have seen in the show. That was what got me. The bow specifically. Like, I was like, dang, that was a great way. That was such a high note to end at 47 years old. You know, you gotta respect it. Yeah. Yeah, he got the 32 Nagano retirement music as well, which is crazy. Do I think that's deserved? Not really. Am I mad at it? Also not really. Nagano's retirement in 32 is still the best retirement. It's a shame it didn't last because the moment does get cheapened, but like even then, this was, yeah, it's hard to think of many other retirements that were as good as this. Honorable mention definitely goes to Sukata. His retirement run was also very strong. And the part where he got up the wall the second time just to show that he could do it and then to like thank everyone at the top of the wall, that was good. That was good. Yusuke Suzuki's run hit so much more. We are now Sasuke sensei-less for the first time in a while in this show. So, what's up, Lee? Yes, Nagano's theme being the Nagano family theme is freaking peak. I'm so happy about that. They used it last year for Caillou as well, so like I'm not surprised, but it still isn't old. It's only happened a couple times, you know what I'm saying? So I'm still not over it yet. Yeah, his block run, Suzuki's block attempt where he had to like basically run that like a stairmaster. Yeah, that was probably what killed his cardio. I think without that he had it. I think he had the wall without that that long of a rotation. But overall, I mean, very great pick for MVP. Gotta love Yusuke Suzuki. I will actually miss watching him as much as I said like, oh, he needs to retire. I've said that before so many times. He needs to call it quits because it's just he's not putting up great results anymore. He's getting older. Someone else younger with potential should take his spot. I've said that for a while now. I will miss watching his passion on the course because this is not the only time his passion is shown. So yeah, respect. 43 stage 1 is what we should have gotten 2021. Oh yeah, for Sasuke 39, I will talk about, actually let's talk about Sasuke 39 right now before we do that. Sasuke 39 was such an underwhelming renewal. It's just one of those things where, let me make sure that I got this centered. Okay. It's one of those tournaments where if we took everything that changed after 39 and put it in 39, 39 would have been a great renewal. We could have had Prism. We could have had Screwdriver, modifying the Fishbone, I guess, buffing the Dragon Glider, sure, and then Block. I'm cool with that. That's a good change up of stage 1 if it all happened at once, you know? Stage 2 didn't change. That's annoying. Stage 3 would have gotten the buffed Sidewinder, the Swing Edge, and the Burst all in the same tournament. That would have been hype. Also, I still think, and I think many of us agree, the Dimension should have been saved for 39. It was so clear to us after Sasuke 36 that the next time Yusuke made the final, he would win, which happened in 38. He could have just saved the Dimension for 39. And we could have had Sidewinder, Swing Edge, Dimension, and Burst all in one tournament. And the changed final. That would have been such a good renewal. That would have been a great renewal. Honestly. And at the end of the day, like, I'm not mad at the course we have right now. It's not great still. Like, I still find the course to be stale because it's really not that different, you know? Look. New person. That's not how that works. You know? It's the same course for the most part. And yeah. So to me, it's like, I would like to see more variety overall, but if we're only just rearranging things and switching out one or two items here and there, I wouldn't have been mad if that was 39. And here we are 4 years later with what should have been like the actual renewal. And because you've only modified little by little, you've let the competitors adjust little by little. What Yusuke Morimoto needed to be stopped, because he made the final 2 tournaments after his second win. To stop him, you needed to throw everything at him at once. You needed to change everything at once so that way he had more things to practice. He left Sasuke 39 basically only having to train the Swing Edge. You know? He left Sasuke 41 pretty much only having to train the Burst and learn how to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you made him do all of that at once, I don't know if we would have seen as much success in Sasuke 40 or 41 or 42. Maybe, maybe not. I would argue in 39 and 40, the results would be what the results are right now. Honestly. COVID would be a big problem. Imagine having to deep clean the huge obstacles. That's very fair. Deep cleaning the Screwdriver would suck for everyone that makes the Screwdriver. I've got the chat over here, so I'm like looking. Dehumidifier on the wall. And now, yeah, Yusuke's gotten up a wet wall. Yeah. No, it's some crazy stuff. But at the end of the day, we are here, I guess. It's a general rule of thumb. Like, when you give someone 5 things to learn in a year, there's a smaller chance that they will master everything versus if you give someone 1 thing to learn in a year. There's a much higher chance they're going to learn that 1 thing and master it. You know what I'm saying? So they should have rearranged that better. Okay, no. I did not know that Yusuke missed his first attempt on the wall. That was surprising. I was like, "Oh my gosh. No way. Like, that's, yeah, no, that was kind of wild." Does bro know all the international results? I know how many people go down on the Prism. I also know how many people clear stage 2. I do not know how many people clear stage 1. Yeah. I would agree that Bunpei failed 1.2. He failed Rolling Hill because he actually made contact with it and all that other stuff. All right, talking about tomorrow / tonight for some of us. Like, it's 11. It starts at 11 p.m. for me, so it's tonight. Pretty much. Up next is Daytime Stage 2. Daytime Stage 2. They did have to delay from Gio up to Yusuke on Stage 1 due to the rain. So this is probably their way of making sure that they still filmed everything before they ran out of time to film. Um, so they film stage 2 in the day. Then later that night they do stage 3. Um, if anyone makes it a stage 3. The internationals are here. The internationals are here. Oh, look at them right here in the screen. I'm so excited. Look at all of them. They look great. Donovan's up there, man. Having Joel Matley run first, though, having someone who Kanzin run first is kind of wild. The numbers of this are very all over the place to me. Very all over the place. Cause like, no, it's just very confusing to me. Why is Vid higher than Danny? Why is Tim Champion number 5 and Clara LaCour is number 13? Is beyond me. Like, Sean McCall randomly being in the back end of the run order with Ashlyn Herbert, who's become notable on Sasuke, and then Kanzin, Icon of Sasuke, Kanzin, and Icon of Sasuke. Like, that's insane. Sean McCall just, like, randomly chilling in there. I think that's hilarious. I genuinely think that's hilarious. You're convinced the numbers to this, except for Danny, Jesse, and Ilian, are RNG? I wouldn't be surprised. The numbers are very random. Josh Levin being higher than Addie Herman is kind of a surprise to me. Yes, he's made the final, but she has a title that she can boast, which apparently is called Kunoichi America or some crap like that. The winner of American Kunoichi, guys, Addie Herman. Yosua really grew out his hair. Shout out Yosua. This is a good Marvin. I honestly, without the tats, I wouldn't recognize Marvin. Genuinely. Because of the hair. But she did win. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. A&W Women's Championship. Kunoichi America. That's why she's invited. Very clearly. They even say it right here. Kunoichi America. Ben Polson is surprising because I've kept tabs on Ben Polson for a while. He stopped doing Ninja a couple years ago. You can tell how many of these guys just, they're back because it's Sasuke. You can tell that everyone here loves Sasuke. Like, Danny, not done Ninja. Tim Champion, not really done Ninja. Not since Race for Glory. Ben Polson, not really done Ninja. Josh Levin retired from Ninja. Sean McCall. Whit Erickson. Like, what are we talking about here? That's like a fourth of the field. Yosua. A fourth of the field is not active in Ninja, but when it's Sasuke, when it's the Japanese show, and they give you a call, you pick up the damn phone. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, if it's TBS calling and saying, "Hey, we want you on Sasuke," saying no is a horrible option unless you have a good reason. Like, Clement was injured, right? Heck, I even understand when Drew said no to Sasuke 37 because he had a kid. That makes sense. Also, Yanta Tadowicz wearing a jersey that says daddy because he just had a kid is one of the funniest damn things I've seen. Like, he's really running in a shirt that says daddy. That's so great. Jeff Britton, no, I disagree with Jeff Britton. The idea of choosing to, well, I don't know. Because Jeff Britton chose to do A&W 8 over Sasuke, right? Sasuke 32. And, like, not taking his result on A&W 8 into factor, I think I can understand Jeff Britton. He was robbed of $1 million the year prior. He knows that he's capable of winning the $1 million. He wants another shot at the $1 million. You know? I can understand that from Jeff's perspective. Jeff got flamed for declining. Right. If you're not Japanese and you get a call for Sasuke, I don't know anyone who would legitimately turn it down, which is crazy. The next thing is the teaser at the end of the episode of day 1 teased a final stage attempt. Throw in the chat who's making the final stage, if anyone. Are we getting baited or does someone make the final? This is, we're at a time where the most recent final stage attempt was not Yusuke. Is it Yusuke? Is it Miyaoka? Are we getting a surprise from Keitaro or Yoshiyuki? Like, go ahead, throw it in the chat. Who said Rio? You're banned, Shayon. You're banned. Billy, ban him from the chat. What's up, Kaimana? Three-person final. That's true. We could see multiple people at the final. Who's it going to be? Who's your predictions? Either Yusuke or Miyaoka. A miracle if it's both of them. Keitaro. Kaimana, I see you in the chat. I said hi. You don't have to spam so much, but hi. Merry Christmas Eve. Winter break's good, man. How about you? If it's 3, Yusuke, Miyaoka, and an international. Ooh, throwing in the internationals. That's true. We haven't even really talked about the international results. Who's going to have the best international competitors result and where are they getting? Helicopium. Shayon says none of the internationals. Ilion maybe could. I'm going to be so for real. I've seen videos of Ilion training the burst in the lead up for this. Ilion can't get a burst transfer to save his life. I'm going to be so for real. Gun to his head, he's getting shot. I'm so for real. Let me pull up. Let me pull up what he said when I swiped up on his story when he posted that. Because it's like a very... Ilion Sharif. I told him to take the transfer slower. He said, impossible. I can't take it slow. It's too hard. And then after that, he told me that he was going back to Japan. So that was, a few months ago. Bro, Sean McCall, best result of the internationals would be crazy. Again, I'm not saying anything at all. I'm not saying anything about the actual results. But yeah. So, with that said, that is all of the slides that I have. Oh, I really sank down to fit in the little webcam there, the little webcam corner. Take this off now that I can read the chat better. Yeah, I think the video was posted in TNM. I want to say it was. And then, oh, you posted it. Okay. Sean will either time out on stage 1, fail rolling log, or somehow get to stage 3. Josh Levin could do good, but I don't think he's beating the burst. Caillou is the decider. Stage 2 is 7 out of 7. So here's the thing, right? I'm not saying this in relation to anything regarding the literal results of this tournament, okay? Because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. And for those of you who have, been with me on like Dropscape and stuff like that, you know that I will say one thing and then just completely misdirect you or lie, or you don't know if I'm lying or telling the truth, You don't know what's a fake out with me sometimes. And I'm going to keep it that way. with that said, everyone's so focused on the burst that no one is focused enough on the dimension. We had so many people make it to stage 3 last tournament, and we had barely anyone beat the dimension. The dimension took out the most amount of people on stage 3 last year. The dimension took out the most amount of people on stage 3 in 41 and 40. Like, I'm just throwing that out there. Okay? Before you think about who can do what on the burst, you need to think about who can do what on the dimension. Because people were talking about Keitaro, he can't even get to the burst right now. People were talking about Yoshiyuki, he can't get past the dimension right now. Like, what's happening here, you know? And I think that's something that you guys definitely have to take into account. Uh-oh. Chat is not refreshing down here. Boop, boop. To be fair, if they can't beat the dimension, then they can't beat the burst. Don't forget the swing edge. The swing edge is like the silent, sneaky killer of stage 3, but it's out of the 3, obviously by far the easiest, you know? Everyone but Tomo fails the dimension and Kawaguchi's the goat of goats. That's wild. Why is the chat not pulling up? Oh, it's because I hid the chat. Did I? I don't know. I think no one clears the dimension this time. Planet Bridge would have taken out Miyaoka. Oh my gosh, guys. Oh, Planet Bridge. As a body prop fan, love Planet Bridge. But like also, what the heck? So let's take it stage by stage. We've got 7 people left, right? Out of the Japanese. Who's clearing stage 2? We'll go yes, no. I'm going to put a poll in the chat. All right? I'm going to put a poll in the chat. And you guys are going to tell me. Running on 2 Twinkies and grocery food is crazy. Caillou clearing stage 2. Yes, no. Bang. All right, we're going to keep that one up. You guys vote. You guys vote. I'm going to add another poll. I actually can't do that until I end this poll. All right. This is very interesting seeing the Caillou poll results here. This is the only one I'm torn on. That's fair. To be fair, out of everyone that's on stage 2, he's the only one that has not cleared stage 2. So I can understand the skepticism. Caillou will time out, okay? All right, we're going to end that poll. Overall, not a lot of you have faith in Caillou Nagano to clear stage 2. I don't know the exact number of people that clear stage 2 out of the Japanese. I know the exact number of internationals. I don't know the exact number of Japanese. I've heard a rumored number, and if it's a rumored number, my head is spinning. I'm going to be so for real. I have no clue. I have no clue. So, yeah. All right, let's go Nakashima next. Someone mentioned that Yuta Nakashima barely cleared stage 2 last year, almost ran out of time or whatever. Not super wrong. He wasn't the fastest. So, like, we'll see. Still voting. Still voting. Only other worry is Tomo. Yuta has not cleared stage 2 multiple times, though. He's only cleared stage 2 once. Hello, I'm 12%. All right, so there seems to be a couple people who are saying that there is a chance that he'll fail, but the overwhelming majority of you said that Yuta Nakashima will clear stage 2. We're going to kick it over to our third competitor. This one should be pretty... I think these next few might be faster, but Keitaro being the next one. Very interesting results here. Unless the time limit dramatically drops, I think Yuta will do it. That's a very fair assessment. Keitaro used all his aura on stage 1 and is going to burn stage 2. If he goes back to choking stage 2. Bro, that's like a sign of a recession. 100%. If Keitaro's failing stage 2, Jun failing stage 1's already a sign of recession, bro. Well, so far, the chat seems to feel the most confident in Keitaro clearing stage 2. Very fair. Now for our reigning last man standing, how do we feel about Miyaoka's odds on stage 2? This will be interesting. Oh, wow. The votes really shot up real quick. People were waiting for this one. Keitaro still hasn't cleared convincingly except 41. Okay. Interesting. I don't know if I agree with that take, but it's fair. Okay, so we have a reverse Caillou. 75% of people said that Caillou's going to fail, and 75% of people said that Miyaoka is going to clear. I kind of expected higher from you guys in the prediction there. That's kind of surprising. Tomo is our next one. Oh wow, this is going to be tough. I think a lot of people are most skeptical of Caillou and maybe second most skeptical of Tomo clearing, right? So this is interesting. Oh wow. By far the most interesting results here. By far the most interesting results here. Okay. This is going back and forth quite a bit, actually. He tends to fail stage 1 or 3, not so much 2. That is true. That is true. We're going to end the poll. This is the most split. I think some people are either of the opinion that he's still got some juice left, he's still got some gas left in the tank, whereas others are probably like, he's older, he's a bit of a wild card, he's just not as like cons in potential, so who knows. Jeez. Understandable. I got like a booger in my nose, bro. Anyways, we got 2 people left. We are bringing it on to our penultimate runner, Yoshiyuki Yamamoto. What are his odds of clearing stage 2? More of an indictment of stage 2 than Tomo's ability. I can agree with that. Tomo almost failed stage 2 in 40. True. Same exact stage, and doubt they nerf in the time. That's very fair. Wow. I am surprised by these results. I'm surprised by Yoshi's results, honestly. Very surprised. It'll come down to if the rolling log F's them up or not. Yeah, that's also fair. The rolling log can be a wild card. That's the other thing about Caillou is like we've never seen him actually attempt a salmon ladder. We've never seen him actually attempt the rest of stage 2. To where like, for all we know, rolling log could get him again. For all we know, he could just, you know, truck it through, and that would be nuts. Democracy has allowed me to speak the truth, and someone said Yoshiyuki is overrated. I'm dead. I mean Yoshiyuki is probably the most athletic out of everyone that's remaining, honestly. Um where's the poll results? I ended okay, it's there. Yeah, 93% of you said that Yoshi was clearing stage 2. I am definitely in that majority as well. Um again, I don't know exactly. I only know 3 people's results out of these 7. They're like final results. So, I'm going to disagree with the statement that he's just another June. I'm going to say he's just Kajihara if he trained for Ninja more. He's Kajihara if he actually like focused on Sasuke. Wow, guys, these votes on Yusuke. Wow. Barring a major shock, okay. Why am I so there we go. Let's bring the camera down a bit. 43's had a lot of those. Yeah, 43 has been quite the surprise so far, I think. This is interesting. This is very interesting. I didn't think any of these would be 100% just because I think everyone's now paranoid after stage 1. I think, the paranoia has kicked into the fans. Um and it's understandable. It's understandable. But overall, a little under 80% of you think that Yusuke is going to clear stage 2. Paranoia. It's one hell of a drug. But with that said, stage 2 really is not different at all. At all. Yeah, dude. This is gonna be wild. This is gonna genuinely be like nuts. I'm very, very curious. I'm very curious as to how it's gonna play out. I'm very curious as to how Inui's gonna edit it. I'm very excited to see how you guys react to certain runs and results. If it doesn't rain as hard, stage 2 should be pretty straightforward for these guys. That's fair. It is daytime, so hopefully it's not as rainy. It was definitely rainier at nighttime on stage 1. So also, shout out Donovan Matoyer. One of us, one of us, one of us finally making it to Sasuke. Just had to get that out of the way real quick. Daytime stage 2 and nighttime stage 1. When was the last time we had daytime stage 2? Like, we had sunset stage 2. I really did enjoy Sunset Stage 2 in the OG days. You know what I mean? Like, those are nice. Was it Sunset or Sunrise? One of the two. It was still cool. Sasuke too, right? Like, I distinctly remember Akiyama timing up at the wall lift. Sasuke 4. Yeah, like it had to have been, yeah. There's no way it was in the 21st century. That's for sure. Really? Yeah. Kunoichi 8. I'm dead. Good shout. Good shout. Daytime stage 2 is something would say is a joke or a dream. Guys, daytime stage 3. You know what though? Like, Vietnam's done daytime finals. So like, whatever. There have been daytime finals before. And I don't remember if Israel did. I know Israel's done. Israel might have gone so long that they did daytime stage 3. I think it was season 3. I'll have to check that. Daytime final stage happened in Vietnam. It happened in USA versus the World. It was like a sunrise final, Singapore final stage. Someone said and called that Iraqi was on the rise. I thought Iraqi was on the rise in 36, and then he never lived up to it after that. So, yeah. Like, if someone's on the rise, that means they're on route to becoming a standout. You're not a standout to me if you're just another person who fails the dimension. Call me crazy. But if you're failing where everyone else is failing, you don't stand out. Unless you have some defining personality trait. Like Daniel Gill repeatedly fails on the dimension, right? He's fallen there 3 times now. And, you know, like people remember him because he's the American champion. He looks different from all of the Japanese competitors. So, like, he stands out in that regard. He speaks a different language. So, like, people remember him. But, like, if you're just another Japanese person that's failing the dimension, yeah. Very happy the prison tilt exists because there's so many people in the lineup who have no right to have more than 30 seconds of screen time. Agreed. No, because Rio's failing earlier blank, that means Rio has more potential than Keitaro. You know? That's how that works. Because there's more room to show. Also, I never shouted him out, but Seth, thank you for subscribing. As well as Video Game Lover 58. Just subscribed during this stream. Appreciate you guys. Iraqi should learn Spanish, you know? Sean McCall is probably the biggest potential man in all of Ninja. Could have been so much more. If Canada had a Ninja show, Sean McCall would have been the star. Absolutely. At least of the early days. Nowadays, whole different batch of Canadian kids that are absolutely nuts. But Sean McCall would have been the poster boy of Canadian Ninja Warrior, 100%. Bro, Pants Guy getting the profile was genuinely great. That was hilarious. Zach Toussaint's a good pick. I'm more of a I'm a Kai Diol fan personally. He's a nice kid, and he's also like a Sasuke fan. So like, shout out Kai Diol. Yeah. Someone said Rio is number 2 to Yusuke on Ninja Masters, bro. Who's your number 2 most likely to achieve total victory? At the moment, I'm going to say it is Miyaoka, which is very unfortunate because I do think it's still way too early to say that he could win. I think he's a very distant number 2 because the only other 3 contenders, right? Tada, but Tada has struggled to get the Jugodan, and now he's struggling to get the burst. Yoshiyuki, we'll talk about him in a second, actually. Keitaro is someone that people throw around, but we've just never seen Keitaro in the finals, so we can't say. So I'm ruling him out. Yoshiyuki is someone who I would have considered the number 2. My concern is now he is gone so far in stardom to where he's not just a Sasuke guy. And I think if you're not fully focused on Sasuke or Ninja as a whole, your shot of beating this final is slim to none. You know, Yoshi is now in Sasuke. He's in Sportsman. He's doing pentathlon events, potentially to be in the 2028 Olympics. Like, it's just one of those things where if you're not grinding to get better at something like the Jugodan, you know, like to be perfect on the Jugodan, you are not going to clear that final at all. And the only 2 people that I've seen grinding the Jugodan are Yusuke and Miyaoka. So naturally, Miyaoka is going to have to be second by default to me. And even then, it's a big gap between the 2 of them. Big gap. Like, how do I put this? As fun as it was to see him again, we really don't need the full replay of that time when dude's pants fell down. I love Pants Guy. No, Pants Guy needed that 100%. Yoshi, if training hard for Sasuke, would probably have been a solid number 2. Yes, I agree. I would have said Yoshi until last tournament, honestly. Someone said that Yusuke isn't winning and Miyaoka was. Now, I'm just gonna throw something out here, right? Yusuke is just historically a better finalist, final stage runner than Miyaoka. And I'm basing it off of 2 different comparisons here, okay? So we compare Yusuke in 40 to Miyaoka in 42. Yusuke made it higher. It's the same final. Yusuke almost won in 40, right? That is objectively better. But some people will say, but Yusuke's done the Jugodan before. Yusuke's, familiar with 2 of those 3 obstacles on the final already. Like, of course, right? Okay, understandable. At the 45-second mark of the World Cup, Yusuke was higher up the rope than Miyaoka was on the final period. He was. He just was. And he wasn't going within the time limit. His goal was just beat Sean Bryan. He was very clearly not going as fast as he was in 40. And that was that was a choice, And at the 45-second mark, he was still higher than where Miyaoka was. Now again, but he's done the Jugodan before. He's done the rope. He knows the final like that. Okay, his first attempt on a 3-obstacle final stage, Sasuke 35, he made it higher than Miyaoka's first attempt on a 3-obstacle final stage last tournament. Yusuke is historically a better final stage attempter. So, see, Vitamin gets it. Vitamin gets it. Yusuke doesn't eat his ready meals out of a deck chair in his kitchen, so Miyaoka's better. That's my personal argument for like Miyaoka versus Yusuke. Obviously, Miyaoka's really freaking good. You don't beat the burst on a whim. You don't beat it by luck, So like, he deserves his flowers. He deserves hype. He doesn't deserve all the hype. Like, Sasuke fans and switching up in the middle of a tournament is so real. Because last year it was like, Miyaoka's the GOAT. Yusuke's not the GOAT anymore. Bro, it was one tournament. Chill out. It was one tournament. It's one of those things where you have to just trust the process, man. You have to trust the process. If something, especially with a course that hardly changes, right? You have to see who's consistent, and then you have to see who can adapt. We've seen who's consistent between 39, 40, 41, and 42. This tournament, we're seeing who can adapt. Only then do I think we can make a proper assessment on who this era's top stars are. We made a Yusuke GOAT doc for a reason and not a Miyaoka GOAT doc. I'm dead. But you're not wrong. People are so desperate for someone to dethrone Yusuke at any sign that any sign will be enough for them. Yeah, and that's really dumb. Because Yusuke, number one, again, people are going to miss when Yusuke was in his prime. They will. Yusuke has done so many legendary, history-making things that, like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where his story is so talked about in Sasuke. His results are so talked about in Sasuke that, like, when that's not the focal point of people's fixation, they're going to miss it. They're going to be bummed. They will be 100%. The other reason that people should not get so jumpy to dethrone Yusuke is because Yusuke is going to be around for another 15 years, guys. He's 34. He's absolutely still going to be competing when he's 50. Is he going to be as good as he was right now? No. He's going to be older and his age is going to catch up to him. But at the same time, like, he's not going to retire unless he physically can't do Sasuke anymore. Cope. Deal with it. For all you Yusuke fans, this chat is a safe place. Okay? You are welcome here. For all of you Yusuke haters, cope. Okay? if Yusuke is the finalist that they're teasing in the trailer, right? He breaks the record for all-time final stage appearances, not just in Sasuke but worldwide. If he is the finalist and he Kanzens, he has the record for Kanzens tied with Ayako Miyake. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? The only reason Japan Red won the World Cup was because of Yusuke Morimoto. If not, they would have lost. Like, the first person to beat the dimension. The best attempt we had at the ultra crazy vertical limit Kai combo without the rest bar. The first person to beat the vertical limit Kai. The first person to beat the crazy cliffhanger and the vertical limit. Like, we're talking about the same Yusuke Morimoto, right? The same guy who's only ever failed the same obstacle twice, if it was because it was raining, like the warped wall, or the burst, the hardest obstacle in Ninja. Like, think about that. Genuinely, like, yeah. I think Miyaoka will suffer the same fate as Yoshiyuki in terms of reception blank. I agree. Kane, how do you feel about TSN's final videos? I actually didn't get to watch the Yusuke doc yet. I was a little busy, and I will have to watch it on my own time. But obviously, I'm going to save my multi hour watch for stage two and everything for part two. So I'm going to watch Yusuke probably this weekend. Loved Iceberg. The guy who did the first layer of part two, he did a great job with the voiceovers. No, Iceberg really was like just a great video. It was really awesome. Billy cooked so hard on that. No one hates a show or a franchise or whatever more than their fans. Genuinely, it's just like one of those things where I do. He won his third constant. He's clearly the greatest we've ever had that fits. I just don't want him doing it 5 times in a row. I don't think anyone's gonna win Sasuke ever, genuinely ever, in a row. Last man standing in a row, absolutely. We see that happen all the time. Finalist in a row, sure, totally. Could absolutely see that. Um, Consoning multiple times in a row, it's just not going to happen. We've officially hit that level, and this was inevitable, right? We've officially hit the level of they've run out of ideas for new obstacles that are challenging. Obstacles can be very creative in Ninja Warrior, and that's awesome. That doesn't mean that they're always new concepts that challenge the competitors, right? That's why people give A&W's obstacles some flack sometimes because they're like, well, it's just another way to do a lache, another way to swing from one thing to another. Yeah, it kind of is a lot of the stuff that they make. So it's not exactly challenging. It's just difficult in its own way, but not challenging the way the burst is or something like that. It's very clear that they're running out of ideas, Ninja as a whole, worldwide, on things that specifically challenge people without being an overkill, impossible bloodbath that you need a retry on, you know? And that's why like NSC, like the pro leagues out there, they have retry systems. It's so not only competitors get like a shot to show their true skill, but it's so the course designers can make obstacles that are hard enough to where you don't have to feel the pressure of getting it done once. Maybe you have 2 or 3 tries on that obstacle, and that allows the obstacles to be stupidly, stupidly difficult. You can't do that on Sasuke because you only get one shot. And I think they should keep it that way, but that limits how difficult you can make certain obstacles. I think the burst is the best they've found that sweet spot of balancing difficulty in. I think the dimension is an example of where that can go wrong because I think the dimension is just too RNG. I hate the dimension. I really hate the dimension. And I love cliffhangers. They're my favorite obstacles ever. I hate the dimension so much. Good night, Billy. Merry Christmas. But Oh yeah, I was kind of a motivator for Billy. I didn't even see that. I did say I'll race you to do my YouTube short revealing myself as the Barbados coach, and you'd finish your iceberg things. And I beat him because it was a YouTube short, but I took a long time on that YouTube short, honestly. But anyways, Billy finished because I was pushing. I lit a fire under his butt. Anyways, um, obstacle difficulty. It's one of those things where you have to balance it well, and we are running out of time. We are running out of opportunities to really make it super difficult. Now, if yeah, Sasuke can just start importing obstacles internationally into stage 3 or stage 2 or stage 1, whatever, and that could work, you know, but they'll eventually get figured out because nothing is as hard as the burst as far as individual obstacles go. We hit that level of difficulty and trickiness with balancing obstacles um, as soon as the Jugodon was added to the final stage. As soon as the final stage was made into 3 obstacles, it set the precedent that every course was going to be amped up in that way. And stage 3 is the most notable example of that. We are just never ever going back to an easier level of difficulty. They're never going to scale the course back, you know? If the Jugodon gets cut in half and it's only 8 rungs instead of 15, right? They're just going to add a 4th obstacle to make it tougher. You know what I'm saying? It's so no one's ever going to win Sasuke twice because we've just not twice. No one's going to win Sasuke twice in a row because they're just going to keep upping the difficulty, and it's just going to keep being this awkward. This is like the future of Sasuke. You're either going to get tournaments that are like 43, like 35, you know, where you're going to see, oh my goodness, such surprising results, or you're going to see tournaments like 40 to 42, where there's so much success and then everyone just gets murked by the dimension, you know, something of that caliber of obstacle. That is the future of Sasuke, unless they massively change up the way they're going to design their courses. It's a tough balance. Um, there is a way to work around it. You add more you change the amount of obstacles literally on the course, or you change the time limit. For stage 3, they need to add more obstacles. They need to nerf the cliffhanger. Quite frankly, they need to nerf the cliffhanger because I'm getting tired of watching the stupid dimension. What do you mean by honorifics, blank? But they need to nerf the dimension and they need to add like 1 or 2 more obstacles to stage 3. I don't think they have enough space for that, but they should. So, regurgitated hot take, but I think making Sasuke yearly and 5+ hours per tournament is the worst thing to have in the show. I can agree. I would love multiple 3-hour tournaments. I'm sure Kane Casillas glad he sat out this one. I'm dead. Kun-chan Sensei. I don't know. Yamada Sensei, Shunsuke-san. Yeah, I don't. Unless you're Japanese, like that is kind of weird to me. Like unless that's how you were, you know, raised and stuff, and how you grew up. It's kind of weird. Just me. Yeah. I remember when he knew he was planning to do 2 tournaments in 2020, but then COVID happened. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a very tough one. Jeez, man. I'm curious as to what's going to happen. So we've already basically gotten next year confirmed Kunoichi 14 for the fall, and then it's either going to be in November of 2026 or January of 2027. And then Sasuke 44 is pretty much confirmed for next year. I'm curious about what they're going to do in 2027, the 30-year anniversary of Sasuke. You know, they did 2 Kunoichis and 2 Sasukes for 2017. for the 20-year anniversary. So I'm very curious as to what they're going to do for the 30 year, you know? Bonus points to Mai Watanabe for becoming a close second best female competitor in Japan. Yeah. Hmm. I take it, Lucas, you grew up with Shin Sasuke? Because those are your favorites? I have favorite members of the Shinsekai, but they're not my favorite competitors. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kano is my favorite member of the Shinsekai. Maybe Yuji, but Yuji only because of his recent performances, like from 34 onward. But I didn't really care for Yuji during Shin Sasuke. Mid Sasuke. Ah! Guys, I think I'm going to wrap stream. We are at about that time where I would love to stay, but I do have Christmas Eve and Christmas related things to get to. And in an hour and a half, I am going to go live again with a workout. Yuji failing the fishbone was sad. Yeah. So tough one. But yeah, I'm streaming again later if anyone wants to see me lift. We can talk about Sasuke more after that. I typically talk about whoa, I would not fail Prism. I would not fail the Prism because that implies I wouldn't make contact with the rolling hill. I would make contact with rolling hill. If it's dry, I clear it. If it's wet, it's 50-50. But I got hops. I could absolutely make that jump from the middle of the prism to the rolling hill. So, anyways, yeah, if you guys want to talk Sasuke with me after like while I'm working out, I'm live in an hour and a half. Totally down to talk. And if not, that's fine. On the 26th, it might be the 27th for some of you guys, I will do a post 2-day discussion. It's just I can't do another one. I want to do one at this time tomorrow, but this time tomorrow is literally Christmas and I'm with my family and I'm just not doing that, you know? Have a great Christmas, guys. Have a very Merry Christmas. And don't prioritize Sasuke over Christmas. Okay? Thank you. You guys have a good one. I will see y'all later for my workout.